Hi guys, welcome to Stitching It. My name's Stephanie and I am having a fantastic time today over at Dena's house. We have a little stitching get together and we decided to make a little video. We decided to come up with a couple of questions to put together into a tag, you know, and what is the theme for today? Well, it's stitching with friends. So we came up with a few questions that you might want to answer.
Yeah, Steph and I were talking earlier and we thought it would be interesting to ask you some questions that we've been discussing just between the two of us today. What do you do when you stitch with other people? What are the kind of things that you like to take with you or work on, or just what kind of style do you have? So we're going to answer the questions ourselves, and then if you're interested in doing so, we hope that you'll take a moment and answer them on your videos as well. So shall we get started?
Yeah.
Okay. First question we came up with is, how do you pick what project to work on when you're going to be stitching with other people? What's the process you go through?
Oh gosh. Well, I definitely put in some time trying to pick it out, you know, because I wanted to bring something to impress you, number one. So something close to a finish. And I would say also something, you know, I chose the piece that I brought today is Hoity Toity by Long Dog Samplers, and I've just been working on black border across the top because I didn't want to get too distracted, you know, when I was talking, and that's really the reason I came to stitch with you, know, because I wanted to see you, Dena. Right. I wanted to interact with you, so so I picked something that I wasn't going to mess up too much on. Yeah,
very same process for me. I was working on a piece that you've seen before. This is Ashley's Roses, and I was busy working just on this solid block of color, the pink sash. Same reason, so that I wouldn't mess up, so I wouldn't have to frog everything out after you left.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we're saying about the same thing. We looked for a piece that was worthy, you know, of our attention and our time, but at a point where we could work on it without a whole lot of risk.
Right.
You know. So there are times when I have actually taken a smaller piece that I'm working on that isn't as complicated. But because it was just going to be the two of us, I figured that I would be able to handle the little bit of block of color there. So it worked out pretty good. What's the second question?
Well, today we're stitching at your house, which you know, is you've got a dedicated room for your craft supplies. But where the second question was basically be where is it? Do you think it's better to meet, or what reason would you meet at somebody's home, or trying to find a public place and arrange something like that? You know, which do you prefer?
Well, it depends on, for me, it depends on the number of people that are going to get together. Today was just going to be a wonderful time for the two of us to get together. We wanted to get to know each other a little bit more. Stephanie and I have met at various stitching get-togethers where there were a number of people.
Yeah.
But we haven't had a lot of time just for one-on-one conversation.
Right.
Which is what we were both kind of wanting to do. Sort of her new neighbor. We don't live that far apart, so we were hoping to get to know each other a little bit better. And I think for an intimate group of 2 or 3 people, being at someone's home if they have room for you, is great because all your supplies are there.
Right.
If anybody needs anything,
yes,
you've got it, you know. And you don't have to worry about interruptions from outside, other people, you know, coming in the room or using the facilities and that sort of thing. And it's just, I think, just an indication that someone's offering their home is more of an offering of a more intimate friendship.
Yeah.
So it's kind of felt that way. If it's a larger group, I think having a room that's dedicated at a public place where people feel safe going there, no one's feeling that they're exposing themselves too much by having everybody at their house, letting so many people know where they live, or any concerns like that if you don't know who's coming.
Or if you don't live in a some people live out of the way, you know, they don't.
Hard to get to them, yeah. So we've met before at libraries. Those are usually pretty quiet, pretty nice. and we've met before at retreats, you know, that we're in like a hotel conference room.
Yep.
So those are good places as well, and you can get a lot more people there.
Definitely. So, do you prefer, would you say, you know, we were just talking about stitching at someone's home versus a public place. Do you prefer, do you find yourself more comfortable in bigger groups or do you prefer the smaller stitch-togethers?
Well, believe it or not, I'm kind of shy when it comes to a large group. Most people don't believe that because I can talk to the wall, but I do tend to get quieter, and until I know the people sitting right around me, I'm a little bit more reserved. So a large group can shut me down a little quicker than a small group can. But I find even in a large group, I tend to start following, you know, in line with a few people sitting around me, and then I'll try to move and talk to some other people, get up and move around, and kind of expand that group as the time goes. But I find myself talking mostly with those, you know, that you're sitting with.
Yeah.
And so you kind of turn that into your small group, and I get a little more comfortable.
Yeah.
How about you? How do you feel?
Well, I definitely tend to feel uncomfortable in large groups. And yeah, it takes me a while to warm up to a group. So, but I am the kind of person, I kind of like going places I haven't been before. You know, some people don't like to go places by themselves. They need kind of support to go places. I like going on adventures by myself and meeting up. You know, I like, you know, large groups. I wouldn't, you know, I don't have a problem doing it.
You can make yourself go and get involved.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I like to plug in.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely better socially on a small group.
Smaller.
Yeah. 2 or 3 people, I'll get quite loud. If it's more than that, I mean,
You'll maybe pull back a little bit.
Yeah.
That's funny. I never can imagine you being quite loud. You've always been so soft-spoken. When you stitch with people, how long do you like to stitch?
Well, if it were up to me, I would definitely go. I like to enjoy a meal sometime during a stitch together. You know, to me, fellowship is really important, and you know, you got to take a break from the stitches. You know, to just you know, have a meal with somebody. So all day, you know,
all day, yeah. All day, take a lunch break, keep going.
Yeah.
I know when we've been together at a couple of retreats in Tennessee, and we stitch, oh goodness, till 2 o'clock in the morning.
I don't know if I could do that, but
it gets smaller and smaller as the night goes on. But I think it's for the same reason. You know, as it gets later in the evening, there's a lot more socializing going on than there is stitching at 2 in the morning. But it is fun.
Yeah, it is. And it's really hard to explain, you know, like, because I don't know if there's any other types of, you know, I can probably scrapbookers and quilters maybe do retreats as well, but I'm talking about, you know, like there's kind of a culture to go to being around a retreat and trying to explain to someone who's never really been exposed to the craft industry, you know, and the things that crafters do when they want to get together, you know. Anyway,
we were talking earlier about trying to help our husbands understand.
Yes. Now that my husband is the one to retreat, he thinks he's seen it all.
Yeah, you've been there, done that. Why do you want to go again? You know, but we were kind of laughing together about that our husbands would say, okay, well, you've been there and you've met those people last month, you know. Yeah, we want to see them again this month too. But it is hard to explain unless you've experienced it, and I've enjoyed a lot of people that went to New Jersey. You know, and they came back and they said, if you ever get to go to a retreat, you've got to go. And now there's even a phrase that I'm hearing where people say they've been on a retreat high.
Oh yeah, I get that. I mean, it definitely, it pumps you up. I mean, it inspires you, and yeah, when you're getting around people that have the same energy as you do, and definitely, I mean,
yeah, they speak the same language. As people say, these are my people. This is my tribe. You know, just even the smallness of getting the 2 of us together. I've been looking forward to that ever since we set the date, and have been talking with my family about it. Oh, I can't wait! Stephanie's coming Monday, and you know, just setting up the room and just making sure everything's ready.
Yeah.
Just the anticipation was wonderful, and then of course having you here has been great. So
thank you.
Well, Stephanie has amazed me today with some of the wonderful gadgets that she has. So we thought it might be interesting to ask you what kind of gadgets you like to take with you when you go to stitch away from your stitching spot at home. So I'll ask you first, what kind of gadgets do you try to bring with you when you're going somewhere to stitch?
Gadgets.
Or tools.
Yeah, tools, something like that. I'm trying to think. Water. I mean, that doesn't, it's not, you know, I think that traveling gets you dehydrated. When you're talking a lot, you can get dehydrated. You know, you just gotta, you know, you just have to stay hydrated and keep your energy up so you can just keep talking and keep stitching for hours at a time. So that was the first thing that, you know, I've noticed when I've been to retreats. If you look at retreats, there's just bottles of drinks all over the tables that the people are drinking. So that's not a cross stitch gadget, but it's definitely a necessity. Yeah, a necessity.
Something you need, yeah.
And
we were talking earlier about how much I admired your tripod.
Yeah.
Which we're using right now.
Yes, I've definitely. Dena has to get a tripod. A better tripod.
Tell them what to do. You can. I'll do this.
I mean, she told me she props it up in this little colored pencil box. So
yeah, the pencils hold it up.
Yeah. Well, it didn't really work for both of us. And no. If you want to try to get both of us in the shot, so
it didn't quite work. But the tripod is much better.
Yeah. So maybe a tripod. You know, one of those little tripods. If you're a Flosstuber and you want to make a video, they have these little small folding tripods that are flexible and can stand up. That's definitely probably something, you know, we don't want to, when we go to these things, we want to document, you know, our memories and, you know,
capture the moment.
Yeah, so tripod.
One of the things I would recommend are lights. I have 2 lights here, one for Stephanie and one for myself, but when I travel, I have a small tabletopper kind of size. You've probably seen it. I'll take it with me to all the retreats, and it even has a magnifying glass in the little light, so you know I don't have to wear my cheaters when I have that. So, but I think lighting is very important. And today we're here. It's a beautifully sunny day, so we've got the window blinds open, and we've got natural light flooding in. So, it hasn't been too much of a problem today.
No.
But I think that's a gadget.
Yeah, especially when you don't know where, if you're meeting at a public place you've never been to, you don't know what the light's going to be like.
So it's true. I would mention one other thing, either a Q-snap or your lap stand or something that you're going to use unless you're stitching in hand. Make sure you don't forget it. One of the first stitching meetups I ever went to, I left my Q-snap at home. Fortunately, it was at a Joann's. So I was able to buy one. I would have been stitching in hand that day for sure. But I think that's also important. Okay, here's a fun question for you. I know you came over here and we talked about the distance. It's not that far. It's doable to get together. But how far have you traveled in order to stitch with other people?
Well, I mean, the furthest I've been to so far on a retreat is to Tennessee, to Sevierville, which I guess is about 4.5 hours. But you know, I think when I was driving to Warner Robins on the regular, that was pretty far. That was
a couple hours.
Yeah, 2 hours, and
you do that in one day, there and back in one day. So.
And I still remember the first time I went there. You know, when I mistakenly thought it was another Centerville. And so I drove the 2 hours, and you know, but I was already planning to be gone all day long. So anyway.
So that was admirable. That was so admirable.
No, it's kind of embarrassing because I feel like you're always going to remember me for that story, since that was the first time that that you know we drove down there. You know,
well,
first impression. No,
it was funny. We'll tell you the story. The library that we were meeting at was the Centerville Library. And there is a Centerville library right down the road from Stephanie, not far from her at her home near where she lives. But the one I was at was 2 hours away from her. Stephanie's at the library and there's nobody there, and she called me and we figured out what had happened, and I really expected her to say, oh, Dena, that's just way too far. I hadn't planned on that today. And I was so disappointed because I thought you weren't going to be able to join us. And to my great pleasure, Stephanie said, well, I was planning all day, I'll just come on down. Yeah. And she did, and I'm so glad you did.
Yeah, so
that helped. That got us started getting.
Yeah, and if I hadn't come that first time, then I don't know if I would have come again.
Yeah.
So,
but it was, we had a good group. We had about 6 people, off and on. Different ones could come different times. So if you just put the word out in your area, you may find you have people close enough that you can meet somewhere, you know, and stitch.
Yes.
And I think that's a lot of fun. If you can't get to someone close enough to you, have you ever stitched virtually?
I tried to do it as a group thing on Zoom once, and I wasn't very successful at it. I didn't really understand how it was working because different people's faces were popping up, coming on the screen. You know, I don't know how it was working, but no, I haven't tried a Google Hangout or anything like that yet, because usually my house is not. I don't have very many uninterruptions, you know, that I feel like I can sit down. Plus, I would love much. I'm much better on, you know, feet on the ground, you know, trying to get, you know, I'd rather stitch with somebody in person.
Yeah. So you can really talk to them.
Yeah.
The best thing next to that I have found is on Facebook Messenger.
Oh, okay.
And I don't have the Google. I have a Google email address, but I don't even know what it is because I don't use it. so I haven't done a Google Hangout. I can't compare it to that. But I do know that if you're friends on Facebook, you can do the Messenger and you can create a group. You just go into the Messenger and just create a group. It's very easy to do. And you can add in any of your friends in the group that you want. And then when you hit the camera icon at the top, it calls everybody in the group and it activates your camera. Ooh. So when everyone answers, as they answer, their picture pops up on everybody's screen that's online. And as new people answer the phone, it's like the Brady Bunch. You know, all the little faces are all over your screen. And you can see them and hear them. All of you can see each other and hear each other as you're talking. So it's the next best thing to being in the room. You can see what they're stitching on. We can show each other what we're working on. And that works pretty well. So I have found it works great with smaller numbers, like 3 to 4 or 5 people.
Okay.
I've tried it before in a group that was closer to 10. And it starts acting up. You know, faces will fall off and then they'll only appear if they're talking. So it gets crowded. So if you have a smaller group though, and you're all friends on Facebook, try it sometime if you have to. It works out pretty well.
Yeah, I will have to try it.
So virtual stitching I've done for people like Becky, you know, the Obsessed Stitcher. She's in California.
Yeah.
We met at a retreat in Indiana, which is the furthest I've ever gone to stitch with someone. And so we get together about once a month, several of us who met there, and we stitch virtually. And when we do, and everybody's there, we've got somebody from Green Bay, Wisconsin, California, Texas, North Carolina, Georgia, all together, and we can see each other. So it works out pretty well. That's kind of fun. So that is my substitute when I can't get to everybody. It works out okay. So, what kind of stitcher are you at a get-together? We talked a little bit about big crowds versus small crowds, but then narrow it down a little bit more. What are your behaviors when you get there?
Okay. I'd like to answer this question for you, Dena. I'm going to tell you what kind of, I was thinking you can answer it for me. You tell me what kind of stitcher I am, because we've stitched together enough, and I'll tell you what kind of stitcher you are.
Okay, all right, that's great. This will be interesting.
Okay, Dena, when she gets at a get-together, you know, I think you're really attentive, like you said, to the people around you. You know, you ask a lot of questions, and well, first of all, it's because you're a detail person. You have these fantastic stories that you can tell all the steps to, and they're really enjoyable to listen to. And I think that's important to have storytellers at your get-together. You know what I mean? Because some of us just like to listen, and some of us, you know, whatever, you know. And I think you're a really good storyteller, and also I think that, you know, I've started to kind of suspect that you try to time your finishes for these get-togethers, because at every single get-together, almost every single get-together I've been at, you have a finish. She finishes something at every single one. And
I've missed a few.
So I'm always excited when I get together with Dena to see what she's finished, because you're a fantastic finisher. I like to start things and then get distracted by new projects after that, so it's hard to get to the end. But anyway, so that's the kind of stitcher I think you are.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you about Stephanie. When Stephanie gets there, she gets set up, gets everything out, speaks to those around her, kind of talks a little bit with everyone, kind of gets to know who's there, and then gets down to stitching.
Yeah.
She's a serious stitcher. Some people will only put 2 or 3 stitches in the whole weekend they're at a retreat, but Stephanie's going to make some progress. She's going to have something to show for her time. Not that you ignore anybody at all. If anything, I think you're a fantastic listener. I really do. You listen to everyone around you, and every now and then you'll be surprised. Stephanie will ask you the most interesting question, in-depth question about something you've been talking about, and you think, I didn't even know you were listening to that. So that's pretty interesting. I think it's great conversation that way, because it shows you really were picking up on what was being said. And quiet. I think you're a quiet person. You're there, you're present with everyone. But that's why I said it. I couldn't imagine you being loud in a crowd, because you are kind of a respectful person of other people's space. And I don't know, I've just been impressed.
Well, when I get around other people, I'm more interested in them, I think, than I am. You know, I'm with myself all the time, so and you know, especially when I come over to other people's houses, I'm very interested, because I like seeing, you know, other people's stuff.
What have they got?
I'm kind of snoopy, I guess. I don't know, but yeah.
So that's been good. Well, it's been fun getting to know each other a little more, and what impressions we've left on each other, which has been kind of fun. So we're gonna keep stitching, and I'll let you do well,
thanks for joining me on this video, Dena. It was fun. Stitching with Friends tag, I guess is that what we're calling it.
Yeah.
So if you'd like to do it, then I'll put the questions below. And other than that, we're going to get back to work on our stitching.
Y'all have a happy evening.
It was great to be with you today, Dena, and I thank you so much for letting me come by, and I look forward to the next time and all the finishes that I get to see you do in the future.
I'll save one for you.
So thanks for having me over, and thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.
Bye everyone. We're going to make this a regular thing.
She said it. Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.